This was the vice guildmaster of the Hunters Guild, S-rank hunter Cha Hae. As she stepped forward with effortless grace, Jinwoo sensed her presence immediately. Her aura was radiant, refined, and overwhelming in its own quiet way. He found himself wondering how many people, let alone women, possessed such an aura. Was at least on the level of Choi Jong-in, perhaps even higher. For a brief moment, Jinwoo compared her presence to Chairman Go Gun-hee's. The thought surprised him. At that instant, Cha Hae turned her gaze toward Jinwoo's position. Had felt it. An aura so comparable to Chairman Go Gun-hee's that, for a split second, she wondered if it was actually him. But the presence vanished the moment she focused on it. Considering how busy the chairman was, it made little sense for him to be here. By the time she looked again, Jinwoo had already moved away, having narrowly avoided her attention. It was time to begin mining. As Jinwoo stepped into the dungeon, he sensed something unusual. At first, he thought it was wind moving through the cavern. A moment later, he recognized it for what it truly was. Waves of magic energy. It was coming from the boss. A short distance away, several miners whispered among themselves, their voices laced with contempt. The new recruit was supposedly an E-rank. What was the leader thinking, bringing an E-rank into an A-rank gate? Jinwoo heard them clearly, but chose not to respond. As he stood there, another miner brushed past him, muttering insults under his breath. Jinwoo turned and met his gaze. The intensity in his eyes was enough to freeze the man in place, fear draining the color from his face. No further words were spoken. Moments later, members of the collection team emerged, hauling a massive monster corpse toward the exit. The collection team always entered before the mining team. The attack force moved first, clearing every monster except the boss. Once the boss was slain, the dungeon would collapse within minutes. That was why the collection and mining teams had to work quickly. Every magic ore and monster corpse had to be extracted before the attack force returned to finish the boss and close the gate. Even corpses from A-rank dungeons were valuable. Jinwoo watched the process with quiet interest. The supervisor noticed and approached him, remarking that it was natural for someone on their first A-rank gate to be overwhelmed. Jinwoo replied honestly that the monsters were far larger than he had expected. The supervisor assured him that the boss would not be killed until their work was complete. Jinwoo asked what would happen if the boss left its nest. The supervisor hesitated before answering. Such an event was extremely rare, he said, but if it ever happened, everyone present would be slaughtered. He quickly added that in his 3 years working as a miner for the guild, such a thing had never occurred. Reassured, Jinwoo returned to work. As he mined, his technique drew attention. His movements were efficient, precise, and far too refined for a first-timer. The supervisor and the other miners stared in disbelief. The assistant supervisor quietly questioned whether Jinwoo was truly an E-rank. "I checked his license myself," the supervisor replied. "Then how do you explain that?" the assistant asked. The supervisor watched Jinwoo work for a moment longer before answering. "He's a miner blessed by the heavens." Not long after, a call was made for lunch. The miners gathered their tools and began leaving. The supervisor invited Jinwoo to join them, but Jinwoo declined, saying he had already eaten. Once the supervisor was gone, Jinwoo dropped his pickaxe. Then he ran, straight toward the boss. When he reached it, he immediately recognized the creature as a giant type. Its presence dwarfed Metis and even Vulcan. Jinwoo assessed it carefully, concluding that his current strength would be enough. A moment of hesitation followed. Killing the boss now would close the dungeon prematurely, costing the guild a significant amount of profit. He weighed the thought silently. "What are you doing there?" A voice spoke from behind him. If you want to find out what happens next, subscribe to the narrator.